Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. No water in Brownstown, St. Anne. Residents and business people livid. President of the United Independent Congress continues to blame government for his arrest. And later in sports, Jamaica Premier League returns with full slate of games. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. No water in Brownstown, St. Anne days before Christmas, and residents and business people are livid. The National Water Commission says it is working to fix the problem, but how soon? Details in this report. It won't be a Merry Christmas for residents and business people in Brownstown, St. Anne. For weeks, they have been without water.
I'm very upset because this time of the year, there's no water. The school, the churches, the homes, the markets, the business place. Water is life. Because where there's no water, there's no life. We have to wash kids' clothes, we have to wash our clothes, we have to do everything, we have to cook. And then we don't know what's going on.
Councillor for the Dry Harbour Division, Carlton Ricketts, says the problem is caused by the Minard well facility. He says the well has not been working for some time now.
And it has been like this for several months, in, out. JPS, when you call them, they said that they do not have a problem. Water Commission is telling you that they have face problems. When you call and you have them on the line, then you get nowhere. 3 days after, the matter resort to the same situation, that there are serious problems, serious water issues.
Richard Williams, who is the regional manager at the NWC Northeast office, says he's aware of the problem. He says a new pump and motor was installed at Minard 3 months ago, but it failed. He says since then they have been having issues.
We are still investigating to see what caused the failure, but what has happened is that we are now in the process of putting in a replacement or making provisions to put in a replacement unit to supply the area in the interim. Now, the timeline for that should be about Boxing Day. We should have that new unit in and running by Boxing Day. The only drawback with that unit, it will only give us 60% of what we would normally get.
Mr. Williams says he understands the challenges faced by the residents and business people. However, he's asking for patience. In the meantime, he says the NWC is making further arrangements to continue to truck water to the affected areas.
We are, however, working with the contracted trucks that we have, and we have made some added requests to have some additional units from those that the NWC had purchased a short time ago to come into the area to assist us until the system is back up and running.
Since the interview with Mr. Williams, a maintenance team from the NWC was seen carrying out the installation of the replacement pump and motor unit. Residents of Luana and St. Elizabeth are appealing to the National Housing Agency to assist with preventing the flow of raw sewage into their homes. According to residents, the effluent carries a high stench which is making their lives unbearable.
I've been here from 2006, and from then it's the same issue. I don't know what to do again.
If the problem is not solved, I'm going to block the culvert that is emptying the sewage on my land. So it's going to build up and start running on the road because I can't take it. I can't walk on my property again because it's wet with sewage. So I'm going to block the drain. This is a stormwater drain, not a sewage drain. So I'm going to block it up.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Southwestern St. Elizabeth, Floyd Green, says he has already presented the residents' concern to the National Water Commission and the Housing Agency of Jamaica.
Because in the new project that they're going to do, they're going to build a brand new sewage plant to replace the plant that they now have that appears to be having some technical issues. So our hope is that early in next year, the HAJ will come and break ground for that, and that once that sewage plant is constructed, then we will alleviate all the problems that we're having now.
In the interim, Minister Green is requesting that the HAJ and the NWC work together to do more regular maintenance of the existing sewage plant to reduce the issues the residents are having. President of the United Independent Congress, Joseph Patterson, has blasted the government for his arrest following a protest which he led in downtown Kingston during the heights of the COVID-19 pandemic. Codian Barrett reports.
The time has come for change, the message being echoed by the United Independence Congress, UIC, at a meeting over the weekend. The Joseph Patterson-led UIC said that for too long, Jamaica has been bogged down by the oppression of a two-party system. He says it's time for Jamaicans to rise up and make a difference.
Some people support the UIC from afar. Some people are hopes that things will come true. But guess what? Wishing, hoping, and praying is not enough. For years now, we have been waiting and waiting and waiting for deliverance, which never come. We have been listening to the lies about people first, which was never true. They have tricked us about progress, which is no progress. And the time has come for us to really progress, really deliver, and really prosper now.
Mr. Patterson says under his leadership, there will be one Jamaica in which the basic needs of all citizens will be dealt with. These, he says, include safety, clean environment, and an orderly country which will lend to a productive society. In the meantime, he outlined plans which he says will make the economy of the island better. For one, Mr. Patterson says all Jamaicans will be property owners if his party is elected into office.
So we are going to return the land of our ancestors to we, the people of Jamaica. The land will no longer be the land of the foreigners who have the most money. We will not allow our government to give away our land for bauxite mining, which is destroying our land, destroying our water, destroying our air, and killing off our people.
Secondly, the UIC president says organic farming will be front and center.
We are going to make Jamaica the biggest, the largest, the most successful organic farming industry in the world. We are going to become the organic food capital of the world. Not because we say so, but because we're going to do so. The time has come for action and not a bag of mouth.
Mr. Patterson also blasted the government for his arrest following a protest which he led in downtown Kingston during the heights of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We must not allow them to grab any more away and lock up any more away because this country is a favorite country. Yes, wonderful. Nobody must tell you whether or not you can walk freely in your country. We must never use force or fraud to infringe on the life, the liberty, or property of our brothers and sisters. But guess what? When a government fails to protect your rights, you have a right to rise up against that government.
Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
Two members of parliament are calling on more parents to encourage their children in their academic pursuits. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic, some children have still managed to do well with the limited resources they have. Education is the only way out of poverty. The story of Member of Parliament for Manchester Central, Rhoda Moy Crawford, is all too familiar to Jamaicans. Speaking to parents and students at a function in St. Elizabeth on Tuesday, Ms. Crawford reflected on her journey growing up in Grey Ground, Manchester, with 17 family members under the same roof.
Mother, aunties, uncles, cousin, grandmother, great-grandmother, 17 of us in a one-bedroom made from board and zinc with 2 beds. One of the little half-hour ones that you have in the college and a double bed. And the adults had to take the floor and the children turned sideways on the bed. And what my parents told me from then is that this is our reality. We are poor, but we are not poverty.
Ms. Crawford said she did not allow her circumstances to set her back or limit who she could become or what she could achieve.
At that time, in knowing who we are and understanding where we needed to get, my parents emphasized the importance of getting a very good education or getting a skill, because that is what was going to take us out of our poor circumstances.
She also said that children should not be ashamed of what their parent or parents do for a living to care for them.
So once your parents are out there earning an honest bread, is no reason to be ashamed. And furthermore, take it from me who have gone through high school. None of the hot girl them and the hot boy them who used to gel down the hair, none of them, most of them not come out to nothing. It's the bookworm them. Don't allow people to waste your time. Some of them you are never ever going to see them after high school. So you just focus and hold your steady.
Meanwhile, 10 students were awarded scholarships by a Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Elizabeth, Floyd Green. Mr. Green says despite the COVID-19 pandemic, some children have continued to do well.
You had the most difficult journey because you had not 1 but 2 full years of COVID-19, of a pandemic. So almost all of your pep journey, you had to contend with online learning, not being able to go to school, not being able to engage with your friends, trying to find devices. You had to focus with so much going on.
Then this advice to parents.
Sometimes we listen to some dreams and we take them for granted. Whatever your children desire to do, if they do it well, they can make a good living from it. So support their dreams, support their aspirations.
The Caribbean Christian Center for the Deaf in St. James is seeking partnership from members of the private sector to better serve students. Principal Rhoda Hamilton Davis says the deaf community is facing several challenges.
That we face includes but are not limited to, financial challenge, the atmosphere, the economy, what's going on. So with all these blow up of prices, we have to be trying to survive based upon the fact that we survive through sponsorship. A majority of our funds come from sponsorship. So those are some of our struggles. Also, we provide vocational skills training here for the deaf. And, we struggle to ensure that we have the equipment necessary to ensure that we maintain that industrial standard.
Mrs. Davis says although the institution continues to prepare students, graduates continue to find it difficult to get employment. But she says this can be resolved if stakeholders partner with the community to assist the students. It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Bank of Jamaica BOJ has announced that the policy interest rate will be maintained at 7%. BOJ said the MPC's decision to maintain the rate is based on the incoming data being generally favorable for the inflation outlook. Jamaica's inflation rate at November 2022 of 10.3% was within the range of 9.5 to 10.5% expected by the bank. Core inflation declined to 8.8% at November 2022 from 9% at October 2022. In business overseas, Wells Fargo has been slapped with a $1.7 billion fine by federal regulators. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, says the financial services company took part in widespread mismanagement for years. Officials say more than 16 million consumer accounts were affected by these actions, which included wrongful disclosures and surprise overdraft fees. The CFPB also ordered Wells Fargo to pay more than $2 billion to refund consumers for what they deemed was illegal activity. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's health report. In this evening's health report, we look at epilepsy.
A patient with cancer, a patient with diabetes or hypertension will feel okay in sharing with their colleagues or their family members that they've been diagnosed with cancer, with diabetes or high blood pressure, but they will feel very uncomfortable in saying, I have a seizure disorder or I have epilepsy.
That's the health report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's healthy living tip. Do not miss doses of your medication. Get plenty of sleep, drink plenty of water, eat a healthy balanced diet, and do not skip meals. And try to reduce stress and control anxiety. Now for a look at the top regional and international stories.
In the region, in St. Kitts and Nevis, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew says the authorities have uncovered a ring creating documents for illegal marriages. There is also the strong possibility that the Twin Island Federation is being used for human trafficking. Prime Minister Drew, who is also Minister of National Security and Immigration, told Parliament the illegal marriages involved individuals from the Spanish community that allows them to be granted citizenship and voting rights. According to Prime Minister Drew, while it is possible that some of the marriages are genuine, some of the individuals involved in the marriage ring have been abusing the system by marrying and divorcing several times in exchange for money. On the international scene, the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, says in 2022 it seized more than 300 million potentially deadly doses of fentanyl. This is more than double the amount that it seized in 2021. The DEA stated in a release that fentanyl is the deadliest drug threat facing the U.S. It is also a highly addictive man-made opioid that is 50 times more potent than heroin. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Cody-Ann Barrett.
We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports reporter with Renarda Brown.